Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino. This is the DingoTalk Alumni Tour. My guest this week is Jack Hoffman, class of 1961. Jack's going to tell us everything from his time growing up in Bethany, graduating from Bethany College, and then what he did with the rest of his life, still raising a family here in Bethany. But without further ado, this is Jack Hoffman. What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino. This is the DingoTalk Alumni Tour. My guest this week is Jack Hoffman, class of 1961. Make sure this is the right tee. There you go, Jack. There's your tee. We're going to do this like we do every week. Jack's going to tell us everything from his time as a high school student here in Bethany to a college student here in Bethany to, I think there's a trip to Germany in there. I think there's some other things that you're going to tell us, and then what he's doing now and what he's done throughout his time from, I believe we're going to start at 1954. So you were saying right before we started recording that there wasn't much to do in town, and you dealt a lot with the college students.
Right.
So,
well, I knew most of the college students, growing up, because we used to devil them to death. Interrupt their chapter meetings and steal their
there was
homecoming floats and
a lot of hijinks going on with the town's kids, and
that's right.
Okay.
That's right. And water balloons and snowball fights and whatever else there was.
So, this isn't just you though in the town. This is Bob Chambers and
Bob wasn't
as mischievous as
that's right.
That's a good word. So
he was more of a worker. He had to work and stock shelves.
Yeah.
But there were some other kids around that were.
Now, what would Chambers have looked like if we were sitting in Chambers in 1954? Does it look the same as the?
No.
So what would it have looked like?
Well, it was. I think at one time early it was counters. And
just stock shelf, like shelf counters.
Right. And whoever was working would give, and then they opened it up similar to what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
This part was not.
Where we're sitting here in Harry's secret lair. Well, actually, from what Harry tells me, this is Jack's secret lair. This is where Jack runs away.
When I wanted to get away, that's where I came. Early on, Bob and I would work in a little shed in the back, and there was a moat here on a cement wall about this far away from the store.
Yeah.
And a bridge that went over into the second story from above.
So where my apartment is, it would have gone into that, or it would have gone into the apartments
Up
above.
here,
Okay.
up above.
Okay.
And then this was added not very long ago.
So you graduated in 56.
56, I graduated.
From Bethany High School. Now, what was that? And for those of you that are alumni of Bethany, that would be the Hurl Center now.
Right.
What was that building like? Because I've been told there was a balcony above the gym, and there was
There was a balcony above the gym because the seating capacity in that place is probably 50 people.
50 maybe. You're gonna be real tight at 50.
And I played basketball and got my share of splinters.
That was a really nice way of saying that. Took me a minute to put what you were. So let me ask you a question about Bethany High School. So the college is all green and white, green and white, green and white.
Right.
Bethany High School was black and
gold and black.
So why black? Why the gold and black? Is there something behind that, or?
I have no idea. That was well before my time.
So you graduate in 61, or
Right.
graduate Bethany in 61. So you decide you're from Bethany.
Right.
You graduate from Bethany. You stay in Bethany. Why the choice to stay here at Bethany?
Well, after I graduated from college, I decided that I had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So there were no jobs. I worked for B&G, during the school year, but there were no jobs for accountants in Bethany.
Yeah.
So I couldn't stay. So I went into the service, into the finance area of the military. And they sent me to Germany because the Russians had built the Berlin Wall.
Mm-hmm.
And they were building up over there like crazy. And I went to France first in the Loire Valley, where they make the best wine in the world. And I had a chance to go to Bremerhaven, Germany.
And it's the Bethany town connection doesn't stay far away for very long.
No.
And I know that there's somebody that's going to be watching this that really wants this story. So how was the arrangement made to where you met Bob getting off of his...
Bob came over on the ship. Now, the finance had good relations with all the pursers on the ships that came in. They had good relations with all the higher-ups.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to them and said, hey, a friend of mine is coming over, and I want to get him off the ship for the afternoon because I know you guys are not doing anything. They're just sitting and waiting for the train. And so they brought Bob.
So you know Bob's coming, and you're going to be there, but he doesn't know that you're going to be there waiting for him.
I'm not sure that he didn't know an inkling because my parents probably told him
That you were...
that I was there. And,
Okay.
and he wasn't that surprised that I...
So it was kind of like a, hey Jack, how are you? Let's go around Germany.
So I took him off the ship for the day. And showed him around Bremerhaven, which was just a little port city.
Mm-hmm.
Good seafood, because that's really brought all the
Everything
seafood
comes in right there.
Yeah. And we went downtown. I showed him
Showed him around, got him familiar.
around and showed him a beer hall, what a beer hall in Germany was. And I think it's probably his first beer. But
That's a hell of a beer. That's a hell of a first beer to be having a German one. I don't know if they're...
that was the best.
I would imagine. So let's double back to Bethany for a second. So we're gonna come back to what was when you were here in 1961.
Right.
Well, 57 to 61.
Right.
What was the college atmosphere like? What was because you're also an Alpha Sig, you get involved in other things.
Well, I was a pledge for Alpha Sig. I really didn't activate until after.
Mm-hmm.
I got out, after I came back the second time. And I was a pledge, couldn't afford the $60 activation fee. So.
People are looking at that here, and you say $60, and their head just went boom.
I don't know what it is now.
I don't know what it is, but I can tell you when I was in, it was a lot higher than 60. Nationals is very strict about that. $60 was may get your foot in the door, but
yeah.
So, but building wise and everything that we see, we're here today. We see it's there, right? Everything that's on campus. Like the art building, I was told was a gymnasium at one time.
It was a gymnasium and a swimming pool.
Okay.
In the basement, because I was on the swimming team.
I didn't know you were on the swimming team.
On the swimming team in Bethany for the first 3 years, I think. Or the second 3 years.
One of them.
Who knows?
And then and you bring up the swimming pool. So the swimming pool goes from the art building down the hill to what is now the wellness center, right?
Wellness center.
Was where there was an in-ground pool.
Right. That was a full-size Olympic pool there.
Down in the
50
wellness.
yards, yeah. It was only 25 yards.
Okay. Now the rec center isn't up there when you're in school either, though, is it?
No.
That's not completely.
Oh no, it wasn't there at all. It was like tennis courts.
So the tennis courts were up there too.
Tennis courts were where
Okay, where the rec center is, where the tracks.
Center, right, the track park. And then that Hummel Field House was over on the left.
So you went to school to be an accountant.
Well, I went to school to be a chemist. And I got first 2 years, and then I took a semester of organic chemistry. If you've ever thought about that. That blew my mind.
That was the end of that.
That was the end of chemistry.
Organic chem came, and Jack said, no. So how do you get into the accounting?
Bill Chambers was the teacher for accounting.
Okay.
That's Bob's older brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that up right away because I liked math. I liked Bill.
Comfortability, it.
Yeah, it was so easy to learn because if I had any questions, I just come to the store.
Can you help me with this real quick? So, and you brought up the store, and there's definitely, I know I'm jumping around on you, and just as these ideas hit me.
That's okay.
Next door, and there's a lot of people, Christian and I might be one of the last groups that actually remembers the storefront as a barber shop. Right next door here to Chambers. Right. And in fact, your dad was in charge of that.
He started that barber shop there.
And there was
1927.
And there's a couple. There's a military story there where they had a military base here and naval.
They had a naval V-12 unit stationed here. Which is, I don't know. Runs in my mind. It was a couple hundred sailors.
Yeah. And they were staying in Harlan, Phillips, in that area?
Now where Richardson Hall is.
Okay.
There were barracks. And where the Sigma Nu house is, or the old Methodist church, next door to that was 2 barracks.
On the KA side or on the, back behind them where that open yard is?
Yes.
Where the open yard is,
right,
okay.
Right in that area. And so there were, it seems to me there were 6 of them up on campus.
And then 2 more down.
2 more down there.
And your dad was charging what, $quarter a haircut then?
You could get a shave and a haircut for 25 cents, or 2 bits, he said. His little sign was, shave and a haircut, 2 bits.
Again, I think there's a lot of people out there that say shave and a haircut for 25 cents. What happened to us here?
He did a lot of other things. He took in shoes to be repaired.
So he was a jack of all trades, kind of.
He took in shoes, and he took in dry cleaning at the time. I don't know whether Harry still does that, but he.
I don't know. I don't think over. Oh, that's what the corner is up front, right?
Yeah.
Where the phone is.
Yeah, that's where it was.
You would hang
You'd hang your stuff.
Again, I think that was the last one. The last time I remember that whole area being used for that type of stuff was probably when I got here, 2010, 2009 ish.
Yeah, I would guess so.
Well, and your Chambers connection kind of intertwines through this story so far. And you went to college with Charlotte, right?
Well, she was a year behind. I think she graduated 61 or 62.
60. I think when we looked it up, I think it was 62. Because that's how we got.
She graduated a year later.
So you got Bill Chambers teaching you accounting.
Right.
You got Bob Chambers. You're meeting him in Germany and having German beer. You this tight knit Bethany community here. It doesn't seem like once you're here, you don't get away from people. Everybody's a family.
Everybody's the same. Right?
You know, the Hoffmans, the Chambers, the Schwartzfegers. It seems like everybody is the Mitchells. It seems like that's a family. It's the community here.
Right. That was community.
So I have a couple more things I want to talk to you about. We're going to take a break after that, and then we'll come back for the second part.
Okay.
So you're in Germany. How long did you stay? How long were you in Germany?
I was in Germany for 2 years.
2 years. Bob the same?
Bob came about a year after I got there.
So there's a stagger.
Yeah.
You're there for 2 years. He's there for 2 years, but it might be.
Well,
a
he
year.
was there after I left.
Okay.
But we can talk about what I did in Europe.
Yeah. What was Germany like? What was Europe like?
Oh,
You had a good time?
Yes. I had too good a time.
I think that's why I don't have a passport. I don't know if I can go to another country because they seem to be pretty strict on all these rules, and I'll find myself somewhere I don't want to be.
Yeah.
So you come back from Germany. So you're coming back from Germany or from Europe in 1963. You're coming back to Bethany, or 1964?
64.
So 64. Now you have the military experience. You have your degree. What's the next step for Jack Hoffman?
I worked in Pittsburgh for about 3 years as an auditor for a bank.
Okay.
And we would travel around the banks, and it was Mellon National Bank at the time. And they had 125 branches around Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
So we would travel around.
You were on the move a lot.
Right.
And I don't want you to take this next question as an insult. It's not an insulting question, it's just a time frame question. So we're talking 64. You have, what kind of car you drive? Because I know those car heads out there are wondering what.
I drove a 1953 Chevy Nova Super Sport.
Oh, you were
It was a nice little car.
You were cruising. He was cruising around. Well, Jack, that's a good place. We're going to stop right there. I'm going to send it to my sponsor. Take a break. We'll come back. We'll do part 2, and we'll pick up from. So we were at 64. We'll pick up in 67 after you get your 3 years at Mellon. We'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about some stories. I got I've been here long enough. These rumored stories, I got to ask the man that's seen them. There's a story about that soccer field down there I want to ask you about, the house getting launched up into the sky. But KJ, Kieran Dunn, Maple Shades Outdoors. If you haven't yet, get on YouTube, subscribe, hit like on Instagram, or follow them on Instagram, and I believe on Facebook. He's got a bunch of stuff. We're still trying to push him to go towards March. I'm looking for a nice crew neck and a snapback. He's got a very nice logo, and his fiance did an amazing job with that. But without further ado, KJ, go ahead and take it away.
What's going on, everybody? This is Kieran Dunn, founder of Maple Shade Outdoors. You're currently watching Dingo Talk with my man Carlo. If you're anything like me and you're really enjoying this content, you should like and subscribe his page. While you're on YouTube, you should probably just head over and like and subscribe Maple Shade Outdoors. Check out our page, enjoy some videos, some outdoor content. You might as well hop on Instagram, Facebook, follow us, Maple Shade Outdoors. Now that's enough about me. I'm trying to get back and watch the rest of Dingo Talk, so I'll talk to y'all later.
What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino. This is the Dingo Talk Alumni Tour. My guest is class of 1961, Jack Hoffman. We left off in part 1. Jack was at Mellon. He was auditing Mellon. Now my question, so you come back from Germany, you're working in Pittsburgh, but are you living in Bethany?
No.
So where were you living for the duration of your?
I was living in Pittsburgh on Wilkinsburg, actually.
Okay. little different, slight change from
Slight change from
from the hustle and
places.
bustle.
Right. And I was working in the audit department of Mellon Bank at the time for about 3 years. And then John Graham, who was the treasurer at the college at the time, was a classmate of mine. And he asked me to come back.
So you come back and work. Now you're going to work for Bethany College.
Now I'm going to work for Bethany. So
let's talk about this. So you grew up in the town. You're a student and alumni of the college.
Right.
Now you're going to come into a third role in your time. And then, now do you move back to Bethany for that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did. And we lived in Charlotte's mother and father's house
Up back on Pendleton.
on Pendleton.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're back. Are you the accountant for the college,
No,
or?
I'm the assistant business manager is what the title was.
Okay.
Which I took care of all the auxiliary stuff, the rental properties, the bowling alley, the bookstore.
So I got to stop you there, because I bet you a lot of people. I think the bowling alley that I know it, if I'm right, is where Boomers was, right?
No,
Or the bowling alley was across.
it was where the admission office is today.
Okay, so what we know as the admission office was the bowling alley.
The bowling alley. There were 4 lanes, I think.
And so I've heard, there's a couple rumors.
2 lanes. I'm sorry.
I heard back in the day you used to be able to go down there. There would be, you could have beer while you were bowling, right? You could, with your meal and whatnot, you could get a meal down there, and it was kind of like what our Boomers was, where.
No.
Oh, so you couldn't.
That was the snack bar, which is where, I don't know where Boomers is.
Right next to the admissions office. It's that when you hook back to below the cafeteria, like when you're going up the cobble or the brick driveway, the bottom part of the cafeteria. There was where the bookstore was, and
Yes, where the radio station is
Yes.
now, and I don't know what's on the other side.
the other side is student life, the dean of students,
Oh, yeah.
residence life, stuff like that.
That was all in Cranwell.
All up, okay.
Up on, in the old library.
So how long were you the assistant business manager?
About 12 years.
Now, same president the whole time?
No. I think I went through 6 presidents.
In that 12-year span,
There was
a lot of.
Gresham was the one who was president when I was hired.
Okay.
Then I was interim. Sandercox was interim for a while. And then there was another guy, I can't remember his name.
Wasn't Cummings,
No.
because he's later down the road for Bethany.
Right. And I can't even remember Bullard.
Well, I've heard the name.
Bullard. And he was the last one because that's when I left.
So what happens when you leave? Where does Jack go, or does Jack retire?
No, I went to the Catholic Diocese of Wheeling, Charleston as business manager there for the whole state of West Virginia for the Catholic administration.
Okay.
I worked there for 30 years.
So the Bethany job was just a kind of like your professional chops.
Right.
Get a little bit more
Right.
experience, and then your long-term job was working for the Catholic Diocese.
Yes.
Well,
I took over when Glenn Cox retired, took over the B&G thing. I
okay.
was there for 2 years. I never took my shoes off because I was always ready. I had to go out. There's always something
And
going
especially with the weather going on the way it is now,
Right,
you were probably out and about all the time. So I have there's a couple other rumors from this lovely little corner of our world. I was told there was where the practice soccer fields are.
Right.
There was a house.
There was a house. I have a picture of it.
And at some point, that house got obliterated. Is there a story there? Is there?
Well, the guy that was there was kind of an activist, anti-government. Randall Gorby was his name, and he worked with the buying property for the Hare Krishnas in Cameron, around Cameron. I don't know exactly what.
But in that area,
Where they built the Palace of Gold, and he would buy the properties for them.
and that was like his niche. He knew he
Yeah.
was good at property and real estate.
Right,
and-
right.
So was it them that they blew him up, or?
Well, there's a book out about, it's called Monkey on a Stick. And if you'd like to read it, I have it. So
Hey, I would love to, because
you ought to read that book, because it's kind of shaky. Anyhow, apparently he had witnessed some murder somewhere
along his travels,
and he turned him in.
I didn't like that.
No, that wasn't very smart. At least not to be that public about it.
Yeah, you might maybe turn him in and just shush.
Yeah, don't tell anybody. But my recollection is that there was a gas leak because
Somebody had, but it wasn't that it was a natural gas leak.
No.
It was somebody had went and maybe tinkered with some
tinkered
things.
with something.
Up it went.
He would light
So-
a cigarette first thing in the morning, and apparently the house was full of gas.
Well, now he doesn't die though from that, right?
No, he didn't.
He gets saved.
He walked out of that house somehow.
That sounds like a bad cartoon. Like the house goes up and he just comes walking through the ashes.
Somehow he did. He wasn't. He was burned, but it wasn't that bad. The mayor at the time was John Cole,
Okay.
and he was at the cemetery when they blew up, and he said the roof came above the
The trees and everything, the tree
Trees.
line and everything.
and it dropped down.
So we have, there's two other we're gonna roll into. So I guess I gotta ask, since most people don't know, the corner little garage that was parked overflow parking, or the parking lot as a whole for the bar for Bubba's. There's some interesting stories there too, because that was a gas station, right?
That was a gas station.
And how?
Perry Gresham owned the property and Bethany needed a little place to
Yeah.
get gas, and for car repairs. And there was a student that stayed and coached football, and Bill Hanna
Okay.
started the garage, and he was a mechanic.
Now, how long does the
I
does it
don't
last?
remember exactly when they closed that, because Bill retired. I think retired. I'd have to. If Bob were here, he'd know exactly.
Well, because I can remember Bob always telling the story that the biggest problem with the gas station is that nobody would actually fill up at the gas station.
Right.
They'd get enough gas
Get enough
to
gas
get them to Wellsburg, and then you'd fill up down there.
Right, right.
So, with that property, there's a couple more as we talked about Mr. Gorby and his big bang here in Bethany. There was before Bubba got to town, there was another owner of the bar who had a wife. And,
Frank Calabrese,
and there was a
married to a daughter of a dentist. She went to school here too. They were married and started page 2, where the first apartments are on Main Street. There was a little shack, and at the time I think it was a laundromat.
Okay.
And they tore it down. I think early on it was even maybe the town jail.
I didn't know that the town had a jail. I'm going to be completely honest. Didn't know
that was a long time ago because it shows. I have a picture of the building at the time with a couple of students sitting out front.
Long night. Long night.
And that was their
So now,
place to.
page 2, and there was the wooden keg too, correct?
Well, that turned into the wooden keg
Okay.
after page 2. I think page 2 was the beginning, which was mostly Frank, and then the wooden keg came when Bubba worked there for a while.
So Bubba worked for Frank.
I'm not sure how that worked.
And no matter who I talk to and where we want to pull things, Bubba is the mystery of well, did he work for Frank? When did he come to town?
No, he came to town and started, maybe took over after Frank and his wife got divorced, and then he moved up the street to where place in
Okay.
now.
And so when Frank leaves town, and again, this is a rumor, there was some.
I can't attest to it.
There. That sounds like I'm not going to end up like Mr. Gorby. That's what I'm going to do.
I know it burned one night.
So Bubba comes to town. Bubba's here. Bubba starts up. In front of the building that we know it, because there is no back to that building when Bubba gets here, right? When Frank owns it, that back is newer.
Right.
What was the bar a place that the town people used as well, or was it always more?
There were a couple people that.
But it was always more of the college and the faculty, and that was there.
Right. Because he had sandwiches.
Now, did he do lunches or anything, or was it always an evening?
Just the evening thing.
Okay.
I think.
So he was always that. I'll open at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, kind of opposite chambers.
Yes, he didn't.
There wasn't. I'm not going to step on.
Bob didn't do as much as Harry does in the deli.
Mm-hmm.
So Harry did more of that after he came.
So, I have to ask you, because you were here in the prime of it. What was the Point Breeze mansion like?
Oh, it was great. It was. I can't remember exactly the year, but it was just about completely remodeled.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob Sandercock was in charge of that. He had Stone and Thomas and Wheeling decorated.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful.
I mean, you got to imagine, and for those of you who don't know, this building has probably 9 or 10 fireplaces. I think almost every room, every floor had a room that had a fireplace on it. I
think it did. The second floor did. The third floor didn't.
The third floor, but that was once they had.
That was a ballroom
Originally.
And then they closed it into where they kept their secret stuff.
So, and then the building behind it, which would have been like it would have been like a barn almost, right? The stable and whatnot.
That was the servants' quarters, and then there was another building that they tore down where they had the. It was the smokehouse at one time.
Okay.
It might have been.
But I heard that was a place people wanted to, like the extra building was like the upperclassmen, that was theirs. They
Yeah,
would
that
go.
was theirs. They had a couple floors, and four or five guys stayed there.
So I have two questions to wrap this one up. Why Bethany? If you were talking to somebody right now, they were saying, "Oh, I'm interested in going to college." Why would you? What would you say to bring somebody to just the town of Bethany? Why come to the town? Why come to Bethany? What's the selling point?
That's a hard question. That's a tough question. Get away from the hustle and bustle. You're not. You have a little bit more freedom.
You're in a community.
And the community's great. I mean, it's.
I met you 9 years ago.
Yeah.
I met you 9 years ago, and you just can't get rid of me now. Every time I see you, it's
9 years. Wow.
It might be longer than that now. That's what is this 2021? It's been 11 years, I think, since we met.
Wow.
And then my other question to kind of wrap things up is, so you built your family here. You brought your family up here. You yourself came up here.
Right.
If let's avoid the college aspect of it. If you're somebody maybe wants to get to work in Pittsburgh, but that drive isn't that bad. It's an hour. You can get on Old 50, or
you can get.
Would this be a place to build a family now in 2021? Is it the same atmosphere that you brought your family up with, or?
No, I don't think so, because it's more
hustle and everybody's kind of moving.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving in and out, and they're not the stable type stuff that there used to be. Those are hard questions.
The last two, they have to be a little. They're curveballs. Well, Jack, I've had a great time.
So have I.
I'm not gonna spoil the other show that you're involved in just yet, because we haven't recorded it yet. But just so you know, Jack, this won't be the last time you guys see Jack. We have a little treat for everyone. But this has been Jack Hoffman, class of 1961, here on the DingoTalk Alumni Tour. I am Carlo Guadagnino, and I realized I've been selling Chambers, pitching it at the end of every one of these episodes. And that guy that does does a lot of work with that deli. He does it in the promo. So I don't necessarily have to tell everybody about the shirts and the food and Harry's charming personality, because Harry Chambers, take it away and show them your charming personality.
2, 1. You've just watched another exciting episode of Dingo Talk, recorded in the secret lair deep in the hills of Bethany, West Virginia. Let me give a shout out to my man Don over at Maple Shade Outdoor. He's got some great stuff going on over there on YouTube and Instagram. Please make sure you check him out. Also, now available as promised, we have the second edition Bethany, West Virginia Mushroom Capital of the World t-shirts and our Chambers General Store. If we don't have it, you don't need it t-shirts. Available in all sizes. So make sure you stop by the store for a t-shirt, breakfast sandwich, or sausage, biscuits, and gravy, and make sure to check out those daily lunch specials.
You wanna know by now.